Good evening. Good evening. Hello. I guess I'm finally live. I have not went live in so long. Instagram is tripping. I don't know. It won't let me in over there. So don't know. Guess I need to let the people on Instagram know that they're gonna have to come over to Facebook because I can't get live over there for some reason. I don't know. Oh well. All right. Well, I'm going to wait a second. See who's in the room. Make sure I don't do nothing to mess this up. Hey, Baina, can you hear me and see me okay? I'm looking to the side because I have a screen over here, so just making sure you can hear me and see me okay. Okay. All right. Well, welcome everybody that is tuning in to the live right now. Welcome to those who will watch the replay later. Let's see. All right. When you're here, you can say hello. You can drop a heart in the comments. But I want to get started because I am already behind schedule. I was trying to go live on Instagram as well, but it was not letting me. So just gonna, roll with it. It's been a day anyway, so it's all good. But I want to get started. So again, if you're here, say hey, drop it in the comments. And let's see. Share this if you know somebody that needs to hear this tonight. Text them, tell them to get on this live, call them, send them the link. Because what we're talking about tonight, the mental health stigma in the Black community. This is a conversation that has been a long time coming. For those who don't know me, my name is Elvery. I am a licensed a licensed therapist associate. I'm a coach. I'm also a speaker. I'm the founder of Harmony Counseling Network and the founder of the Harmony Collective, which is a community for Black women and couples we have separate pathways, and a pathway for Black men is coming soon. And tonight, I'm showing up in all the roles, not just the clinical one, because what I want to say tonight, I need to say it as a Black woman. I need to say it as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter, as a friend, as a community builder first, then as a clinician. So if you're here, again, say hello in the comments, drop a heart, so that I know you're here. But tonight we're talking about the mental health stigma in the Black community, where it came from, what it sounds like, and what it's been costing us, all of us, women, men, couples, our families. And I want to start with a question. And I want you to really sit with it before you answer. When was the last time someone checked in on you and you was really, let me ask this again. Let me start over. When was the last time someone checked in on you and was really concerned with how you were doing? Not just, hey, how you doing in passing or as a greeting, but a real question where they stopped and waited for your answer and actually wanted to know the answer. Tell me in the comments, when was the last time somebody really asked, no, seriously, how are you? Not the surface level, I'm good, I'm fine, but really checked in and said, how are you? And you actually told them the truth. When was the last time that you actually told the truth to someone, like that stopped to really want to know how were you doing? Because we typically go with, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm handling it, I'm chilling. Because this is what I want to talk about tonight. That is the stigma in action, the mental health stigma that we're talking about. Not somebody else telling you not to talk about it, but you telling yourself not to talk about it. And before I even go clinical, I want to bring in somebody who said it better than most. There's a book that I have been reading. It's this book by Bell Hooks, Salvation. It's called Black People in Love. And in it, she said something that I think about all the time. She said, and I'm paraphrasing from what I can remember, but she basically said that slavery made it all but impossible for Black people to love one another. That when the emotional ties are established, so when children are born, those attachments were often severed. That connection was overshadowed by trauma of abandonment and loss. Now, what she was saying was that she wasn't saying that Black people don't love, because that's not true. She's saying the system was designed to make loving dangerous, to make attachment painful. Because think about back in slavery, if you love something, if you were attached to something, you could be controlled by it. So our ancestors learned, or sometimes had to learn the hard way, to disconnect, to not show what they felt, to not let them see you broken. And it's not that it was a weakness, it was survival. The mask was a shield that has now become a prison because we're still wearing it in our homes, in our relationships, in our minds. Because when someone asks us how we're doing, in other words, what kept us alive before or then is killing us now. Because she also went on to write, and this is what I really want you to hear because I bookmarked the page. She wrote that shame makes self-acceptance and self-love impossible. Shame. Not weakness, not failure, shame. And I want to ask you, when you think about going to therapy, when you think about saying out loud, like, I'm not okay, I probably should talk to someone. I've been feeling depressed. I've been feeling anxious. I've not been feeling like myself. What comes up first? Is it shame? Is it the voice that says, what would people think of you if they knew you were in therapy? Is it, I should be able to handle this? Or oftentimes I've heard people say, other people have it worse than me. It's just this. It's just that. That is the stigma. That's what we're talking about tonight. So drop in the comments, what did you hear growing up about going to therapy? Having to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist? What was the message in your house? What was said? And maybe what wasn't said? Because we all got a message from our homes. Because the stigma did not sound the same for all of us. We had the same message, just with different voices, depending on your environment, who your parents were, what your parents believed, what your family believed. And so I want to talk to 3 different faces in the room, as you will. I'm talking to Black women. I'm talking to Black men. And I'm also talking to couples. Because this same stigma shows up differently for all three. And I want you to hear your version. And tell me if it sounds true for you or not. I'm going to start with Black women. The stigma for us sounds like a compliment. You're so strong. I don't know how you do it. You always hold everything together. And we take that and we wear it because we were taught that our strength was our value. That being needed was the same as being loved. And that if we fell apart even for a minute, we would let somebody or everybody down. In this book that I'm going to keep referencing tonight, Bell Hooks talks about it. She talked about how Black women have been positioned as inexhaustible, as if we were built to carry it all, built to endure it all, built to survive it all, without anybody asking if we were okay. And what does that do to us? If we're thinking clinically, it creates a pattern where we perform our healing, where we perform our wellness, even when we're falling apart inside, where we become the support system for everybody around us. And we have no support system of our own. I call that the high functioning heartbreak, because you look good, your work is done, you're competent at your work, at your job, in your career, in your business. You show up, and inside you are running on empty. That's not strength. That's survival. We deserve more than survival. And now I want to talk to the fellas. And I want to do this with love, because I think sometimes when we have this conversation, it can come off sounding more like a critique instead of care. And tonight, I'm coming with care. Because when I think about every time that I am sitting across from a Black man in the therapy room, how for Black men of all ages, it is more acceptable to express rage than to express your emotional needs. It's in this book. Y'all want to debate on social media? Read a book. Read this book. I'm going to say that again. For Black men, it has been acceptable. Rage is acceptable, while emotional needs are not. So what do you do when you were raised in a world that told you the only emotion you were allowed to have was anger? You get really good at anger. And everything else, grief, fear, loneliness, love, comes out sideways, or it doesn't come out at all. The stigma for Black men sounds like, man up. You soft. Figure it out. Oh, we don't talk about that. Or better yet, therapy is for weak people or white people. Pray about it. Man, you're supposed to be a provider. Act like it. And so you end up carrying it. You carry the financial pressures, the expectations to be strong all the time, to be unbreakable, to hold it down. And nobody asks you either if you're okay. And if they do, you were taught to man up, not to show weakness. So you say, I'm fine, I'm good, I got it, I'll figure it out. And I want to say tonight, you are allowed to not be fine. You are allowed to need something, someone, somebody. You are allowed to have feelings. And seeking help is not weakness. It is one of the bravest things you can do. Fellas, if you watch this, if you are watching this, drop a heart. I see you, and I'm glad you're here. Ladies, if you're here, share this with the fellas in your life, with the men in your life. And now I want to shift to talk to couples. Because here's what happens when you take a black woman who was taught not to show weakness and a black man who was taught not to show emotional needs, and you put them together in a relationship. What do you get? You get two people who love each other, who are both in pain, who have no idea how to say that to each other. So instead, they fight, they go silent, they perform like they're good around each other, convincing themselves that neither of them needs to feel. When we come to the understanding that love is not just a feeling, it is a practice. It's in the book. It is a practice, a choice. It's an act of courage. Because it takes a lot to love someone, to show up for someone when you really don't feel like it. But how do you practice love? How do you choose vulnerability? That's the courage I'm talking about. When you were never taught that it was safe. When you were taught that needing somebody was a liability. This is why couples work is not just about communication. It's about unlearning. It's about two people deciding together that we're going to break that pattern that was handed to us. So the stigma doesn't just live in black women or just black men. It also lives in our relationships because we bring these two together. Or if the same thing, whether it's same-sex couples. The stigma lives in the individual. And it is costing us intimacy, connection, and sometimes our relationships. And I want to just take a few minutes to talk about where this comes from. Because I think when we understand the roots, we can stop blaming ourselves for the fruit. 3 things help shape the mental health stigma in our community. And I want to name 3. First is survival. I've already said it. Our ancestors had to mask their emotions because showing vulnerability was dangerous. Crying in front of an enslaver could get you killed. Showing how much you loved your child meant they could use that against you to control you. Again, that was not a weakness. It was actually genius. It was protection. But that got passed down generation to generation until we forgot that we were wearing that same mask of survival. The second thing that shapes the mental health stigma in our community, religion. And I want to say this carefully because faith is real and it matters in our community. But just pray about it was sometimes the only mental health resource our communities had. And it did, and it does, provide real comfort. But it was never meant to be the only tool. And when prayer becomes a way to avoid addressing real psychological pain, it can become part of the problem. And third, one of the most important is this history of the medical racism that we face. Our distrust of the mental health, not even just the mental health system, the medical systems in general. And it is not an irrational distrust. It's historically informed. We think about the Tuskegee, the history, the how doctors minimized their pain, dismissed. And then when you think about even the DSM, which is the manual that therapists use to diagnose, was used to, at various points, against our blackness. Our community learned not to trust these systems, that they're not safe. And that lesson wasn't something we just made up. Again, history informed it. What I'm asking as a Black clinician, Black therapist who is committed to creating sacred spaces for Black people is whether that historical lesson is serving you today. Whether that distrust has protected you is now keeping you from getting the help that you genuinely need. Because you can hold two things. Both can be true. You can distrust the system and you can still get help. Those are not mutually exclusive. Two things can be true. And I also want to name what the stigma is actually costing us. Welcome everybody that's here. Say hey in the comments so I know who's watching, or you can drop a heart. But I want to name, and thank you for watching or tuning in. I want to name, and the reason I'm looking to the sides because I have two screens going, so I'm not losing it. But I want to name what the stigma is actually costing us. Because sometimes we need to see the bill before we decide to do something different. In our bodies, the chronic stress, the unaddressed trauma, grief that has either gone unprocessed or has nowhere to go because we're not sure how to process, work through, live with grief. It becomes physical. And what I mean by that, high blood pressure, autoimmune conditions, sleep disorders. I was listening to a talk earlier, and the psychologist literally said that the lack of sleep in the community faced by us, by Black people, is killing us. Sleep disorders. She said there is research that shows that sleep disorders. But also there's research that shows the chronic stress of racism. It ages our bodies faster. While we talking about the melanin not pop, the melanin is popping and Black don't crack. We got to think about what's happening internally. What's it doing to our bodies? Because your body is keeping the score of everything you're holding. Even when your mind tries to tell you, we're good, we're fine, we'll push through, we'll get through it. Think about in our relationships. Two people performing strength around each other instead of being real with each other. How the slow death of intimacy is happening in our relationships. The distance that grows when nobody will say what is actually true. Think about the loneliness of being in a room or in a bed with someone and still feeling completely alone. And in our communities, when we don't address what's happening inside of us, it comes out sideways. And let me explain what I mean by that. The gender wars that are playing out on social media. I am tired of it. Black men against Black women. Some of that is unprocessed pain between black men and black women. Wounds that haven't even been named, needs that haven't been met, hurt that doesn't have the right language, so it becomes noise instead. And while I'm talking about the cost, I want to name something very clear that I can't skip over. Because to omit this or not talk about this would be a shame on me. For me to even sit here as a black woman, as a therapist, as someone who loves my culture, who loves my people, and not name what is happening, it would be a shame of me to be talking about black mental health and wellness and the stigma if I did not mention that black women are being killed, the amount recently of black women that are being killed by black men in our homes, in our beds, by people who said they loved us. And I want to be direct. That is not okay. There is no context that makes it okay. There is no amount of pain, no amount of unprocessed trauma, no generational wounds that justifies taking a black woman's life. None. I'll say it again. There is no excuse. There's no explanation that can justify. This is not okay. What I do know, if I put my clinician hat on, is that hurt people, yes, they hurt other people. And I know that generations of black men have been denied the tools to process pain, to name grief, to feel anything other than anger. I know the system has failed them in some ways. I know that. I know silence has created this because we don't talk about it. But knowing where something comes from does not mean that we excuse where it lands. And black men, I am talking directly to you right now. The pain you carry is real. The trauma is real. The pressure, real. And none of it gives you the right to harm a black woman, to control her, to silence her, or to take her life. Healing is available to you. Help is available to you. There are spaces available to you. Use them. Because what is happening in our community is a crisis. And to every woman that's watching this now or that will watch the replay, and to every woman who has experienced intimate partner violence, domestic violence, whatever we're calling it, whatever you want to call it, abuse. Your life is not a casualty of someone else's unhealed pain. You're not responsible for managing the emotions of people who refuse to get help. Your safety is non-negotiable. Silence is not protecting anyone. It is costing us lives. And what I also know is what we don't heal in ourselves, we pass on to our children. We bring it into our relationships. And then it gets passed on to the next generation. So when you refuse to address your pain, you think you're protecting yourself. But you are also shaping what your children see, what the people around you learn about what it means to be human. what it means to need, what it means to struggle, what it means to ask for help and be supported. So here's where I want to land tonight. Not with the solution, because this is bigger than one life can solve. But I want to land with the shift. Because this book has truly opened, not that I didn't know these things, but it has definitely helped put things in perspective for me. And the shift that I'm talking about in this book, Bell Hooks talks about love is our hope and our salvation, which is the title of the book. Love, not strength. And I believe that the most important, radical even, thing that we can do right now is love ourselves enough to tell the truth to ourselves, to say, you know what, I'm not okay. I probably need help. I should probably talk to someone. I should probably go to therapy. I should probably surround myself in community amongst other people who are healing. I should probably tell my partner, my spouse, I need you to know what I'm carrying. I need you to know what's weighing on me. This is not weakness, friends. This is not weakness. This is the bravest, boldest version of love. You don't have to be healed to start. You don't have to have it together to start. You don't have to have it figured out to start. You just have to be willing to begin. So tonight, I want to ask you one thing. Not to change everything, just to name one thing that you've been carrying, that you may have not said out loud to anyone, that you've been carrying in silence because you think other people have it worse than you. You don't have to say it in these comments. You don't have to tell me. You just have to say it to yourself. Just once. Let yourself hear it. Because naming what you're carrying is the beginning. Because you cannot put down what you refuse to acknowledge is there. And before I end this live, I want to let you know what we're doing this month. Because tonight is just the beginning. Next Monday, I believe is, what's next Monday? The 11th, right? Yeah, 7 days from now. Next Monday is May 11th. We're going into something even heavier. We're talking about what being Black right now, in this political climate, in this country, is doing to our nervous systems. The science, the data, the lived experiences that we're having. I want you to come back next Monday so that we can talk about it. And then on May, I gotta keep looking at the calendar because I don't know the dates. May 28th. It's a Thursday night. I'm hosting a We Got You, sis. It's a 2-hour virtual sisterhood circle. It's gonna be on Zoom for Black women who are ready to stop carrying the weight alone. Even if you put it down for 2 hours, one night, we're gonna breathe together. We're going to name what we've been holding. And we're also going to learn some real tools. But we're going to be in community with other Black women. We don't really need the backstory because we're all living it. If you are a member already of the Harmony Collective, you are in the event free, no cost. If you are not and you are interested, I've never done this before. But you can join the Harmony Collective for 50% off. The first month would be $34.50. That gives you access to the event, and it also gives you access to the community. After May 31st, the price changes. It goes back to the normal price. But I do want you to, for $34.50, to be a part of the event. Even if you just come for the event. You don't have to stay for the community, but we would love to have you. And for my fellas and couples that may be watching, May is for all of us. Come. I'm going to do next Monday and the Monday after. I'm not doing the Memorial Day Monday. But share this. Invite someone to join you on this live. I love my people. I love my community. Not as a feeling, but as a practice, as a choice, as a commitment to showing up. I show up for my people, for my community. Thank you all for showing up tonight. I will see you next Monday. Take care of yourselves and each other. Thank you for tuning in. And if you have any questions, comments, feel free to drop them in the comments. And I will be in the comments responding to your questions or comments. Thank you so, so much. And drop a heart if any of this landed for you tonight. Drop a heart and let me know. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Good night.